Okay, I'll bring this meeting of the Senate Appropriations to order. We'll start with roll call.
Senator Driscoll.
Excused.
Senator Guru.
Here.
Senator Larson.
Excused.
Senator Smith.
Here.
And Chairman Salzar.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Great. So the first item before us, actually the only item before us, is House Bill 235. And Representative Andrews, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 235 ensures that career and technical education funding is used as intended to prepare Wyoming students for the workforce. Right now, the block grant funds generated directly by enrollment in high school CTE programs are not always being spent on those programs. The portion meant for supplies, materials, and equipment is being used in areas that have nothing to do with CTE. While this is allowed under the current block grant model system, it defeats the purpose of these funds. CTE is critical to Wyoming's economy. Last year, 55.1% of these funds were reported to be spent in the intended areas. That means nearly half of the funding was used elsewhere, even though 60% of today's job openings in Wyoming require CTE skills. House Bill 235 pulls this funding from the block grant and creates a categorical grant that directs these funds where they belong: materials, supplies, and equipment that prepare students for jobs. Mr. Chairman, the appropriation on this bill is a wash. It reduces the demand on the block grant and increases the recapture funds from our recapture districts, and then re-spends those funds from the school foundation program on this categorical grant. The only increase in spending is the effects of House Bill 18. House Bill 18 amended the block grant model to help small schools. This is its own block grant. So we added that bill into this bill so that those effects are preserved if this bill is passed.
Questions? Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Andrew, first, thank you for being here. Said the money was going to come from increased money from recapture districts. I happen to represent a recapture district, so how much is this going to cost my district?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Guru, this should make no difference to your district because they will be receiving back the funds from the school foundation program that were increased.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay, thank you. Other testimony? Yes, welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Wanda Maloney. I'm here with Trent Carroll from the Department of Education. We're here speaking on behalf of Superintendent Degenfelder. She supports career and technical education and is in support of this bill. She further supports the amendment that would include House Bill 18, which would increase that funding for our smallest schools.
That amendment's already been done.
Correct.
In front of me. Could somebody give me a rundown on this?
Yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Jessie Defoe, and I'm with the Wyoming Association for Career and Technical Education. And I came up today because this has been a joint effort to receive this data and to present it to you today. So what this is basically just the overview and summary of what the model generates, which I think is important to discuss with this bill. So what this would do is the enrollment in 9 through 12 classes for CTE create an extra 29% that those districts then are supposed to use towards CTE programs to ensure that they have enough supplies, materials, and equipment to make sure they're meeting industry standards, we're training our workforce, all of those good things. This table that you have received, everybody in red is what they're underspending, and anybody in green is spending what they're supposed to spend on the model. And so this is another reason why we're up here together, because I've been very grateful for the department's help, and because this is data that they track every single year. So other great things to notice about this bill: school districts still receive the money the way that they're already receiving it. We're asking them to report it the same way they're reporting it. And as long as they're spending it like they're supposed to be spending it, there's really a net neutral effect. Yeah. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Trent Carroll, Wyoming Department of Education. So it is a wash, with the exception of the increase that's related to the small school funding that you guys discussed yesterday in House Bill 18. So that portion of the bill, so that bill was essentially rolled into 235, ensures that small school districts receive at minimum 2 FTE. So any district that's currently below that would come up to that level. And that generates an increase in funding of roughly $284,000 per year. So that is the one component in all of this that is a net increase. The rest of it is a wash, because we essentially take money that's currently in the funding model and we separate it and we create a categorical grant of exactly the same amount. The reason that the numbers are a little bit different on the fiscal note is because you do have a number of school districts that are recapture districts. And so essentially what happens for the recapture districts, instead of them receiving all of their funding through local resources and then sending any amount above that to the state as a recapture, they receive now a CTE grant payment from the state, and they send that much more to the state in recapture. So it nets itself out. But there are a handful of recapture districts, and so the numbers aren't exactly the same. You'll see the net decrease, or the decrease is 3.8 million, and the increase is 4.6 million, with roughly 800,000 of that representing those recapture district payments. I know that's a little bit confusing. Happy to answer any further questions.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, there was a standing committee amendment in the House or the Senate's Education Committee that I wanted to offer some information on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What that amendment did is it allowed this grant to be used for middle school and high school CTE programs. And I think that that is a really well-intended amendment. But I just want to offer, because it does have to do with appropriations as well, that those funds are generated specifically by the presence of high school students in CTE programs and not those in the middle school programs. And so that is something that you might want to consider when that amendment comes up.
Mr. Chairman? Is this our bill? Is this a re-refer? So we can just deal with the appropriation. We can't deal with the amendment, I don't believe. Right.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, sorry. That's why I just asked to offer some information. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Anyone else want to contribute here? Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, good afternoon, members of the committee. Erin Taylor, representing the Wyoming Community College Trustees Association. The bills that you've seen, well, maybe not your committee has seen them all, 17, 18, and this bill, we've broadly supported them. The spectrum of CTE is so important, for our state, and the colleges support that. So real simple, quick and easy. That's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just also clarify, even though you won't be taking up the amendment, I will actually ask that amendment to be defeated because we just want this for now, the appropriation to go to high school. I think maybe as an interim topic, we may want to take a look at that and see if maybe we're missing the boat with our middle schools and see if maybe they might be able to be a part of this in future years. But the other thing I wanted to just mention is that I did ask about how this would this really muddy the waters, this bill, with our block grant folks? Is it going to be difficult to administer? And there didn't seem to be any issue with it. It's just going to be set aside, so the block grant will still move through just as it always has.
Move the bill.
Move it. Is there a second? Second? Any discussion? Roll call?
Roll call vote on House Bill 235. Senator Guru.
Aye.
Senator Smith.
Aye.
And Chairman Salzar.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, 3 ayes, 2 pass.
Great. For the edification of the committee, we will have our next meeting on Tuesday, and that may be a heavy load.